Listen up. I need you to hear me right now, because somebody in this room has been waiting, wondering, and even worrying about when the right person will come into their life. You've been asking, God, when? God, who? God, how? But let me tell you something. When God chooses someone for you, it's already set. It's already written. You don't have to chase, you don't have to force, you don't have to beg, because what's meant for you will find you. But here's the truth. God's timing is not your timing. And if you try to rush it, if you try to put your hands where only God should be working, you might block your own blessing. So today, I need you to open your heart, open your mind, and get ready, because we're about to go deep into understanding how God moves when He's aligning you with the right person. This intro captures Eric Thomas's high-energy, passionate style. Let me know if you want any tweaks. Here's a detailed expansion of your first key note. God's timing is something that many struggle with because we live in a world that values speed, efficiency, and instant gratification. We want what we want, and we want it now. But the way God operates is different from how we expect things to happen. His timing is not controlled by human schedules, emotions, or desires. It is not dictated by societal expectations or cultural pressures. God's timing is based on His perfect plan for your life, and when He chooses someone for you, that plan is set in motion long before you even realize it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to force a relationship that is not in God's timing. When we get impatient, we start making decisions out of loneliness rather than faith. We convince ourselves that because we feel ready, we must be ready. But the reality is that God does not operate on feelings. He operates on purpose. Just because you want something now does not mean it is the right time for you to have it. And if you rush ahead of God, you risk stepping into something that is not meant for you, something that could delay the very blessing you've been praying for. Think about a seed planted in the ground. If you dig it up too soon because you're impatient, it will never fully grow. The same is true with relationships. If you try to rush into something before God has prepared both you and the other person, you may end up with something that looks good on the surface but lacks the deep roots needed to survive. God is not just interested in giving you a relationship. He wants to give you a relationship that is strong, purposeful, and built to last. And for that to happen, you have to trust His timing. There are times when God will intentionally delay things in your life, not because He is punishing you, but because He is preparing you. You may look around and see other people getting into relationships, getting engaged, getting married, and wonder why it hasn't happened for you yet. But what you don't see are the behind-the-scenes details that God is working on. Maybe there are things in your character that need to be developed. Maybe there are lessons you need to learn. Maybe the person He has chosen for you is not ready yet. Whatever the reason, you have to trust that God knows what He's doing. A relationship that is built in God's timing will always be stronger than a relationship built on your own timing. When you let God write your love story, He ensures that everything aligns perfectly. He orchestrates the right circumstances, the right growth, and the right moments for you and the person He has chosen for you to meet and connect. But if you rush the process, you may end up settling for something less than what God had in mind. Many times, people get frustrated because they feel like they are waiting too long. They start to question if God has forgotten about them or if they are meant to be alone. But the waiting season is not a wasted season. In fact, it is one of the most important seasons of your life. It is in the waiting that God refines you, shapes you, and prepares you for what is to come. If you spend your waiting season complaining, doubting, or settling for less, you may miss the opportunity to grow into the person God has called you to be. One of the reasons God's timing is perfect is because He sees the full picture while we only see a small part. Imagine you are looking at a puzzle piece and trying to figure out where it fits. You might think you know, but unless you see the whole puzzle, you could place it in the wrong spot. God, on the other hand, sees the entire picture of your life. He knows exactly when and where to place each piece so that everything comes together in the best possible way. Sometimes the reason God hasn't brought the right person into your life yet is because He is protecting you. There may be things you don't know about a person that God is keeping you from. There may be experiences you need to go through on your own before you are ready for a relationship. God's delay is not His denial. It is His protection. It is His way of ensuring that when the right person comes along, you are in the best position to receive them. Trusting God's timing requires faith. It requires surrendering your own plans and desires and believing that He knows what is best for you. It means letting go of the idea that you are in control and allowing God to lead. It means refusing to compare your journey to others and instead focusing on the unique path that God has for you. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. That means that when God's timing aligns, things will fall into place effortlessly. You won't have to chase, beg, or force anything. The right person will come into your life in a way that brings peace, not confusion. They will add to your life, not take away from it. They will align with your purpose, not distract you from it. God's timing is often tested when we face seasons of loneliness or discouragement. In those moments, it can be tempting to settle for someone just to fill the void. But a temporary fix is not worth sacrificing a lifetime blessing. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what God is doing in your life right now. Are you growing? Are you healing? Are you becoming the best version of yourself? These are the things that will prepare you for the right relationship at the right time. God is not in a rush. He is not on your timeline, and He is not pressured by your impatience. He moves when the time is right, and when He moves, everything changes. When He brings the right person into your life, you will know. There will be clarity, not confusion. There will be peace, not stress. There will be joy, not frustration. And most importantly, it will be something that glorifies Him. God's timing is not meant to frustrate you. It is meant to bless you. It is meant to ensure that when you step into a relationship, it is not just any relationship, but the right relationship. The kind that adds to your life, strengthens your faith, and pushes you toward your God-given purpose. That kind of relationship is worth the wait. That kind of relationship requires patience, trust, and faith in the one who created you. Before God brings the right person into your life, He often focuses on preparing you first. Many people pray for a great relationship but forget to ask if they are truly ready to receive it. It's easy to desire a loving, healthy, and purpose-filled relationship, but if you are not emotionally, mentally, or spiritually prepared, you may not be able to sustain it when it comes. God does not just bring people together for the sake of companionship. He aligns people with purpose, and for that to happen, both individuals need to be prepared. Preparation is essential because relationships are not just about feelings. They require responsibility, patience, and a strong foundation. You may think you are ready, but God sees what you do not. He knows the areas where you still need growth, the wounds that still need healing, and the lessons that still need to be learned. If God gave you the person He has chosen for you before you were ready, you might mishandle the relationship, and instead of it being a blessing, it could become a burden. One of the biggest reasons God prepares you before bringing the right person into your life is to help you develop your character. A successful relationship is not just about love, it's about patience, kindness, humility, and selflessness. If you are still struggling with pride, insecurity, or emotional baggage, those things can negatively affect your relationship. God may allow you to go through certain experiences to teach you patience, forgiveness, or how to communicate effectively. These lessons are not meant to punish you, they are meant to prepare you. Preparation also involves healing. Many people carry past hurts into new relationships without realizing how much those wounds affect them. If you have been hurt in the past, you may have trust issues, fear of abandonment, or emotional walls that keep you from fully opening up to someone. God may take you through a season of healing before bringing someone into your life, so that you do not project your past pain onto your future partner. Healing takes time, and sometimes the delay in meeting the right person is not because God is withholding them from you, but because He is giving you time to fully heal, so you can love freely without fear. Another aspect of preparation is learning, self-love, and self-worth. If you do not truly know your worth, you may settle for less than what God has for you. Many people enter relationships seeking validation, hoping that another person will fill the void in their hearts. But a relationship should not complete you. It should complement you. If you rely on another person for your happiness, identity, or self-worth, you place an unfair burden on them and set yourself up for disappointment. God wants you to know that your worth comes from Him, not from being in a relationship. When you understand this, you will stop settling for relationships that do not align with His plan for you. Preparation also means developing a deeper relationship with God. Before you are ready for a God-ordained relationship, you must first strengthen your relationship with Him. If you do not know how to seek God, hear His voice, or trust His guidance, you may struggle to recognize when He brings the right person into your life. Your relationship with God is the foundation of everything, including your future relationship. When you are secure in Him, you will be able to build a relationship that is based on faith, not just emotions. During the preparation season, God may also call you to work on your personal growth. Are you financially responsible? Are you disciplined? Are you emotionally mature? These things matter because a relationship is not just about romance. It involves real-life responsibilities. If you are still struggling with poor decision-making, unhealthy habits, or lack of discipline, those things can affect your relationship. God may take time to develop you in these areas before introducing you to the person He has chosen for you. Another reason for preparation is that God may be working on the other person as well. Just as He is preparing you, He is also preparing them. If you rush into a relationship before both of you are ready, it may not work out the way God intended. Trusting His timing means understanding that preparation happens on both sides. God does not just want to bring you any relationship. He wants to bring you the right relationship at the right time. Many people feel frustrated during the waiting period, but the waiting is where the most growth happens. Instead of focusing on why the right person hasn't come yet, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Work on your faith, your purpose, your emotional health, and your personal development. The more you grow, the more prepared you will be when the right person arrives. God's preparation is intentional. He is not withholding love from you. He is making sure that when love comes, you are ready to receive it, nurture it, and sustain it. The waiting season is not a punishment. It is a season of refinement. It is where God teaches you lessons that will serve you not just in a relationship, but in life as a whole. Every experience, every challenge, and every delay is part of His preparation process. When the time is right, everything will fall into place, exactly as He planned. When God chooses someone for you, the relationship does not have to be forced. Too often, people exhaust themselves trying to make something work that was never meant to be. They chase after relationships that require constant convincing, manipulation, or begging. But when something is truly from God, it aligns naturally. This does not mean there will never be challenges, but it does mean that the foundation of the relationship will be built on peace, not pressure. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to force something that God has not ordained. They push for commitment from someone who is not emotionally available. They try to mold themselves into what they think another person wants instead of embracing who God created them to be. They overlook red flags because they are more focused on what they want rather than what God is showing them. But love that comes from God does not require you to force anything. It does not require you to beg for attention, compromise your values, or constantly prove your worth. When God brings the right person into your life, they will see your value without you having to convince them. Sometimes the reason a relationship feels difficult from the start is because it is not from God. When you have to fight for someone to respect you, communicate with you, or prioritize you, it is often a sign that they are not the one God has chosen for you. Love should not feel like a battle for basic things such as honesty, consistency, and effort. When something is forced, it drains you. It makes you anxious. It leaves you questioning where you stand. But when God is in it, there is clarity. There is a natural flow. There is mutual effort. There is peace. God's alignment is perfect. He does not make mistakes. If He has chosen someone for you, that person will complement your life, not complicate it. They will bring you closer to Him, not pull you away. They will support your purpose, not distract you from it. The relationship will not be built on superficial things, but on a foundation of faith, trust, and shared values. When something is aligned by God, both people will have the same level of commitment and intentionality. You will not have to chase love, because real love will meet you where you are. One of the ways to know if something is forced is by paying attention to how much energy you are putting into making it work. If you find yourself constantly trying to convince someone to love you, stay with you, or choose you, then that relationship is being built on effort rather than alignment. God's plan for your life does not include you begging for what He already has for you. When He chooses someone for you, they will recognize your worth on their own. You will not have to manipulate situations or constantly fight for their attention, because their heart will already be drawn to you in a way that only God can orchestrate. Another sign of forcing something is ignoring God's voice. Many people know deep down when a relationship is not right, but they try to make it work anyway. They ignore the lack of peace, the confusion, and the warning signs because they do not want to be alone. But forcing a relationship out of fear of loneliness will only lead to heartache. God's best will never require you to sacrifice your peace. If a relationship is full of stress, uncertainty, or constant conflict, it is worth asking whether it is truly from God. When God aligns two people, the relationship will have a divine flow. That does not mean it will be perfect, but it will be built on something real. Both people will be equally invested. There will be mutual respect. The communication will be open and honest. There will be an understanding that this relationship is not just about emotions but about purpose. Forced relationships often lack purpose. They are built on surface-level attraction, infatuation, or fear of being alone. But a God-ordained relationship has deeper meaning. It is about two people coming together to glorify Him and support each other's destiny. Another mistake people make when forcing relationships is trying to change the other person. They believe that if they love someone enough, that person will change. They hope that if they are patient enough, the person will become what they need. But change should not have to be forced. If someone is meant to be in your life, they will grow with you naturally. They will have the desire to become better, not because you pressured them, but because they see the value in the relationship. Forced relationships often come with one person doing all the emotional work, while the other person remains stagnant. But alignment means both people are willing to grow together without one having to drag the other. God does not want you to force something that is not meant for you. He wants you to trust Him enough to let go of what is not aligned so that He can bring you what is. When something is forced, it often feels like an uphill battle. But when something is from God, even through challenges, there is still a sense of peace and certainty. That does not mean there will not be obstacles, but it does mean that both people will be committed to working through them together. Many people struggle with letting go of forced relationships because they do not believe something better exists. They settle because they think what they have is the best they will ever get. But God never asks you to let go of something without having something greater in store. If a relationship is not working despite your best efforts, it may be because God has something better for you. But you have to trust Him enough to walk away from what is not right so that He can bring you what is. Forcing a relationship will only delay what God truly has for you. It will drain your energy, waste your time, and keep you from experiencing the fullness of what He wants to give you. Many people stay in relationships out of fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of not finding someone else. But fear is not a good foundation for love. Love that is from God is built on faith, not fear. It is built on trust, not desperation. It is built on purpose, not convenience. When God chooses someone for you, things align in a way that only He can make possible. There will be no need to force doors open, because the right door will open on its own. There will be no need to prove your worth, because the right person will see it without question. There will be no need to manipulate circumstances, because God's plan will unfold naturally. When love is meant for you, it will come with clarity, not confusion. It will come with peace, not pressure. It will come with mutual effort, not one-sided struggle. Trusting God means being willing to walk away from anything that requires you to beg, chase, or force something that is not meant for you. It means believing that His choice for you is greater than anything you could try to make happen on your own. It means understanding that what is truly meant for you will never have to be manipulated, controlled, or forced. When God chooses someone for you, the relationship will flow, because what He ordains, He also sustains. When God chooses someone for you, one of the most important things to understand is how to recognize His choice. Too often, people mistake their own desires, emotions, or societal expectations for God's will. They assume that just because they feel strongly about someone, that person must be the one God has chosen. But recognizing God's choice requires spiritual discernment, patience, and the willingness to align your heart with His plan rather than your own preferences. One of the first ways to recognize God's choice is through peace. When something is from God, it does not bring unnecessary confusion, anxiety, or doubt. That does not mean the relationship will be perfect or without challenges, but there will be an underlying peace that assures you this is right. When you have to constantly question where you stand, when you feel uneasy in your spirit, or when something does not sit right but you ignore it, those may be signs that the relationship is not from God. God's choices do not require you to force peace where there is none. His blessings come with clarity, not chaos. God also confirms His choice through alignment with His Word. The person He chooses for you will not lead you away from Him, but closer to Him. They will encourage your faith, support your spiritual growth, and help you walk in obedience to God's will. If you find yourself compromising your relationship with God to maintain a relationship with a person, that is a red flag. God's choice will not ask you to sacrifice your faith, lower your standards, or abandon your purpose. Instead, they will align with the principles that God has already laid out in His Word. Another way to recognize God's choice is by observing the fruit of the relationship. The Bible says in Matthew 7:16, "You will know them by their fruits." A relationship that is from God will bear good fruit. It will produce love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and other qualities that reflect His presence. If a relationship is filled with constant strife, jealousy, dishonesty, or toxicity, that is a sign that it may not be God's best for you. The right relationship will bring growth, not destruction. It will encourage you to be a better version of yourself, not drain you emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. God also uses wise counsel to confirm His choice. Sometimes when we are emotionally invested in someone, it is hard to see the situation clearly. That is why God places people in our lives who can provide wisdom and guidance. Trusted mentors, pastors, or spiritually mature friends can often see things that we might overlook. If the people who genuinely love you and have a strong relationship with God express concerns about your relationship, it is worth listening to. While the final decision is between you and God, He often uses the wisdom of others to reveal truths that you may not want to face. Recognizing God's choice also involves paying attention to how the relationship aligns with your purpose. The person God has for you will not be a distraction from your calling. They will be a partner in it. They will support your dreams, encourage your ambitions, and walk alongside you as you pursue God's plan for your life. If a relationship is pulling you away from your purpose, making you lose focus, or causing you to compromise the things God has placed in your heart, it may not be His best. The right person will not hinder your destiny. They will help you fulfill it. Another key way to recognize God's choice is by examining the foundation of the relationship. Many people enter relationships based on physical attraction, emotional excitement, or external factors, but a relationship that is truly from God is built on a much deeper foundation. It is built on shared values, mutual respect, strong communication, and a commitment to God. Lust, infatuation, or momentary feelings are not enough to sustain a God-ordained relationship. It must be built on something solid that can withstand the challenges of life. Timing also plays a crucial role in recognizing God's choice. Just because someone seems like the right person does not always mean it is the right time. Sometimes, God will reveal the right person at the wrong time because there is still preparation needed on both sides. If the timing is not right, even the right relationship can struggle. That is why patience is so important. If God is truly behind a relationship, He will ensure that it comes together at the right time, in the right way, and with the right foundation. One mistake people often make is trying to make someone the one instead of letting God reveal His choice naturally. They become so fixated on the idea of being with a specific person that they ignore red flags, force compatibility, or convince themselves that this person is God's will even when the signs say otherwise. But when God chooses someone for you, He does not need you to manipulate the situation. He does not need you to make excuses for poor behavior, overlook obvious issues, or hold on to something that is not working. His choice will fit into your life in a way that does not require you to compromise your peace, your values, or your relationship with Him. God's choice will also come with mutual effort and commitment. Love that is from God is never one-sided. It does not require you to chase, beg, or constantly prove your worth. The right person will value and pursue you in a way that reflects God's love. They will show up consistently, communicate openly, and invest in the relationship with the same level of dedication as you. If a relationship feels one-sided, it is worth questioning whether it is truly from God. A God-ordained relationship will have both people equally committed to making it work. Recognizing God's choice also requires spiritual discernment. Prayer is one of the most important ways to seek clarity. When you bring your relationship before God, He will reveal things to you in ways that human logic cannot. He will give you wisdom, open doors that need to be opened, and close doors that are not meant for you. Sometimes God's answer is not what we want to hear. He may remove someone from your life, even when you feel attached to them. But when you trust Him, you will realize that His choices are always better than anything you could have chosen for yourself. Another way God reveals His choice is through divine confirmation. Sometimes God will speak through circumstances, repeated, messages, or a strong sense in your spirit. You may find that certain things align in a way that only God could have orchestrated. He may place a deep sense of peace in your heart, or give you repeated signs that confirm His will. However, it is important to distinguish between God's confirmation and personal desires. Not every coincidence is a sign from God, and not every feeling should be taken as divine confirmation. That is why continuous prayer, seeking wise counsel, and evaluating the relationship through biblical principles is so important. God's choice will also be someone who reflects His character. Love that comes from God is patient, kind, and selfless. The right person will not be perfect, but they will have a heart that seeks after God. They will show integrity, humility, and a willingness to grow. They will not just say they love you, they will show it through their actions. Words alone are not enough. True love is demonstrated through consistency, sacrifice, and genuine care. If someone's actions do not align with God's definition of love, they may not be His choice for you. One of the most challenging aspects of recognizing God's choice is surrendering your own desires. Many people struggle with letting go of relationships that they want but that are not right for them. They hold on because of attachment, history, or fear of starting over. But God's best cannot be received when your hands are full of something He never intended for you. Surrendering to His will means trusting that if He says no to something, it is because He has something better. It means believing that His plan is greater than anything you could create on your own. God's choice will align with His purpose for your life. The right relationship will not feel like a burden. It will feel like a partnership. It will not bring unnecessary confusion. It will bring clarity. It will not cause you to compromise your faith. It will strengthen it. When God chooses someone, for you, you will not have to force it, manipulate it, or constantly question it. Instead, it will flow with a sense of divine alignment, because what God ordains, He also sustains.